Today we meet a published fantasy author known for her immersive world building, diverse characters, and heartfelt storylines. Her writing journey started early as she was always an avid reader. As a child, she started writing her own stories from her teen years. By 15 years old, she completed her first manuscript. She later reworked that into her debut novel. Her publication came in 2018, and since then, she has released several novels. We welcome Tiffany Hackett. Tiffany is passionate about maintaining creative control over her stories, which is why she chose the indie publishing route and even encourage others to try it too. Outside of writing, Tiffany is a parent and a freelancer that runs her own Etsy shop. She formats books and even occasionally edits for others. Her love for books can be seen in all her activities. So today we welcome her to Writing Inspiration with Marquee Books. Hello, Tiffany. How are you? Thanks for joining us today.
I am good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. So, Tiffany, tell me, how did it start? How did you begin to write?
I've been a reader forever. When I was itty bitty, I was way advanced in all my reading classes and I read books above my level. And at some point, I just started writing stories as well. And it wasn't until I was about 14 or 15 that I realized, oh, I can do that as a career. So I wrote out a full manuscript and then I kind of fell off and went to college for other stuff and eventually found my way back to it.
It's always happened like that, actually. Many of my guests have told me the same story, that they start like teenage years and then college came and boom, They get trapped in all the tasks and homework and stuff. And then after college, they came back.
Yep.
Especially,
can't stay away for too long.
Especially if the pandemic is in the middle. When did you publish for the first time?
My first book was in 2018.
Okay. So years already, huh?
That one right there. They're all behind me.
Oh, yeah, I saw it. Yeah. I see them. Okay. Oh, they look pretty. That's nice.
Yeah. I've been lucky to work with some really great cover artists, so that's
great. So tell me, did you have other hobbies that help you shaping your books?
I play a lot of video games, and I also have friends who are pretty much as nerdy as I am, who have gotten me into other things like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, that have helped kind of shape how my books end up going. My first trilogy was based off that manuscript I wrote when I was like a teenager, but I completely redesigned it. And all of my readers have told me that that series in particular really reflects the Dungeons and Dragons feel of like adventuring and like dungeon crawling and stuff like that. So
if you let me to give this opinion, actually, I thought that you have like Magic the Gathering posters behind you.
I do. I do. And I have World of Warcraft books. And yeah, there's a lot.
Your covers do look like Magic the Gathering in a way.
Yeah, I have a black and red vampire deck downstairs.
Okay, so tell me, do you have like a day job or are you a full-blown writer?
I kind of bounce around. I work from home. My kiddo has special like attentive needs for school and stuff like that, and it's a lot easier for me to work from home. So I kind of jump around like freelance contracts. I do book formatting. I run an Etsy shop that has like stickers in my books and different merch and stuff. So I kind of like dibble dabble in all sorts of self-employment, but it works.
Okay, so are you like an editor too?
Something.
Oh, okay. So like proofreading and formatting.
Yeah, and I can do a little bit of like developmental editing where I like read the story and tell you what's wrong with it. But I try not to get into that too much because it's very time consuming because I'm very nitpicky. So I don't want to overextend that.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, I don't trust editors that review is quick, to be honest, because usually they left so much.
Yep. I have my own editor and she's also an author and I don't know how she juggles managing to get her own books out and editing my books when they come through. She's a superwoman, but
Yeah, actually, my own editor, the main editor, told me that it's fine to get some second opinion sometime, but usually when the second opinion came, they never realized anything, and then my main editor said, "This guy doesn't know shit."
yeah,
Be careful when you get editors from the internet.
definitely. They can be questionable.
Okay, so tell me, how long did it take you to make your first book?
So the first one, like I said, was kind of a reimagining revision of the manuscript I wrote when I was 16. Went back and got all those papers and looked at them, and it was a nightmare and a mess and a horrible, horrible manuscript. It was awful. There was no proper formatting. There was nothing. Oh my gosh, my cats are trying to break in my office. Um, but they gave me the baseline. They gave me what I was going for in the first place, and I was able to build off that and rewrite it. But in that regard, I was kind of lucky because I did have kind of a world kind of started, and but I think overall, once I started revising it, I think it took me maybe a year or two. It wasn't super long.
No, that's fine. It's an for the first one, it's okay, and the other
Yeah.
ones, like how was the window of release?
It depends what's going on in the world. um, this one I drafted with my co-author in 18 days, and we had it out so fast. But like DC up there, that was around the pandemic, and that one took longer. There was so much going on in the world and so many changes, and my kid was entering kindergarten, but they did school from home at that point, and so it was a lot of stuff. That one took a little bit longer than it probably would have if stuff had been normal.
Well, at least was kindergarten. I think that's easier. Well, for the
Yeah.
school classes.
Yeah, especially for having to transition mid-year back to in-person education, because then that's a whole jarring transition on its own. But I think it would have been harder for older kids.
Yeah, actually, I think so too. So, did you ever thought this will be like your life, like you becoming a full writer right now?
No, I hoped. And I mean, when I was younger, I bought like the writers marketplace books that like list all the publishers and what they're looking for, and like what their submission guidelines were. And I was like taking notes of who I could possibly submit to. And again, when that fell off, I kind of fell off everything. So I kind of just assumed it was never going to happen. And then I had my kid, and I was like, I have some free time when he naps, and I kind of feel like I don't really know what I'm doing right now, like with myself, with my life, with my career. And I was like, maybe I should try the writing thing again. And here we are.
Okay. Do you have any advice for new writers who starting right now?
I would say don't be afraid to have a nasty, messy, gross first draft, because I think a lot of writers get so hung up on needing that first draft to just be perfect, and it ends up becoming too much pressure. And a lot of writers stop so early in the process just because they feel so overwhelmed. And you can fix a first draft. You can fix it as many times as you want to, but if you don't finish it, you're stuck.
Yeah. So, what was the most difficult thing you have to struggle when you were doing your first book?
I think learning how to use appropriate story structure and not just write whatever came to mind. It's a little bit different writing like fan fiction, for instance, than it is to try and structure a novel that has to have a definitive ending. Even if it's like a cliffhanger, you have to wrap that story in that one book to continue into the next one to whatever. But kind of having to learn how to keep that and also keep the interest of the reader as that arc is playing out. It's a little bit of a finer balance than I realized when I started. And I still think I'm kind of like work in progressing that, but I think that was definitely one of the bigger challenges at the start.
Wow. How did you do marketing?
Oh, I'm terrible at marketing. I throw things at the wall and I hope they stick. I'm really terrible with marketing. I don't know how to promote myself well, and I think that shows sometimes.
Are you using some service to help you?
No, I kind of joined Bookstagram back in 2016, and I started to like integrate into that community. And I started doing it more for the joy than for the promotion. And now I should probably be doing more promotion on there, but I still really just enjoy being in the Bookstagram community. So that's probably my strongest platform, but it's also not necessarily all me centric. So
I get it. Oh, no, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, okay. So, and what is your writing routine? Are you like a pre-planner, plotter, improviser?
I'm a pantser. I pant everything. I might like brain dump some ideas on a piece of paper and be like, okay, I know that I want to hit this. Or like I have a character in mind and I want to build that story around that specific character. But otherwise, it's just following the story and seeing where it takes me. I can't follow an outline to save my life. And I know a lot of people say that you have to outline and plot out fantasy especially, but I have never found that I have been unable to keep myself in check if I go back and I'm thorough with like looking at my notes and writing things down as I go in revisions.
I think that unless you have like many original concepts that are really necessary to keep in check, like, I don't know, a magic system or some ancient language or stuff like that, I don't think outlining is totally necessary when you're writing fantasy.
I think it depends on the writer. I think there's this stigma that you have to make an outline or you have to do this or that. But I think every writer has their own process and you kind of have to feel out what that is. You can try everything, but if it's not working for you, do what works for you because inevitably that's going to be the better book.
Actually, yeah, I agree. Many of my guests have said the same thing, and many have their own ways of doing it. There are even some that really just improvise, and it works somehow.
Yep. I mean, sometimes the best idea comes to you in the shower and you scramble it down as fast as you can in your notes app when you're trying to dry off and you're just trying to get it out so you don't forget it. And sometimes it's a random idea that doesn't fit where you're at in the story right now. But if you can put it in there, like those are always the best ideas, the ones that just come to you naturally. I think following that is really, it really helps the creative process feel more authentic, I think.
So, Tiffany, are you like traditionally published or hybrid?
I am independently published.
Okay.
Yep. I like to keep control over my worlds. I don't like to commodify them. I like to keep my diversity levels where they are. I like to explore different character concepts and stuff. And I feel like in traditional publishing, a lot of times they're looking to keep authors in a specific box or they're looking to market in a specific box. And that's fine if you are a right to market person or you like to write that way. That's totally fine.
I feel that it depends on the genre because
yes.
I think for the experiences of my guests that do romance specifically, they don't have that much trouble with traditional publish. But
Yep.
I do think fantasy it's more strict.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very saturated market, and I think there are so many subgenres of fantasy as well that it can be hard to stand out. But I think that independent publishing, I've seen some of the most unique stories. Not to say I haven't seen some in traditional publishing. Some of my favorite books are traditionally published. But I think there are topics and things that traditional publishers maybe don't want to touch as much. And I see a lot more of that in independent publishing. And I love that. And I love the community of the independent authors, like sphere. Like it's fantastic. Everybody is so kind and so supportive. And
And hey, I mean, recent years, many Wattpad stories have become movies. So I
Yep.
think the indie market is now on the eye of the companies
Hmm.
compared to before.
Yep. And I think programs like Kindle Unlimited, even though the company that they are under is somewhat controversial, I think that they give people a chance to try these independent authors without a lot of risk or financial burden. And I think that that has helped independent authors flourish as well, because people can try the book and find out if the author is for them. And I think in a lot of cases, independent authors get overlooked because of the stigma of being independently published, but a lot of us put a lot of time, effort, work. We work with editors, we work with cover artists, and I think now that that's becoming more normalized, it's you're seeing a much better independent market as well, I think.
These days, really, completely true. Before, usually independent meant before like inexperience or unpolished. These days, it's not the stigma. It's going down. So yeah, I feel that someday it will be completely disappear, and traditional indie will be are going to be at the same level. But it's true that most it's possible to on traditional to get stories that are like better well paced in some ways or better grammar
Yep.
than some indies.
I feel it helps to have a marketing team behind you too, because I know I have some indie friends who are very good at marketing themselves, and they know how to run their ads, and they're very, very successful. But I also know many indies like myself who we aren't as good with the marketing side. We're more creative minded, and so the sales side is very, overwhelming, intimidating. It can be a little harder for us to figure out how to get our books out there. Um, but I think that's one huge advantage you have in traditional publishing, is that you have a marketing team behind you who actually knows what they're doing.
Well, yeah, that's true. Here in Marky Books, we're trying to start like a service to help authors with marketing. Yeah, we're still trying to pull it off.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a bit about your books, what they are about? Of course, no spoilers.
Well, so the first three, the trilogy up there, they're about a girl who is kind of thrown into a ruler role without really having an understanding of what that means. She is very impulsive. Um, and she finds out that there is a threat to their kingdom that could potentially, become a world ender kind of situation. And she goes out and she tries to deal with that. She has a bodyguard, and he is so annoyed at all the little impulsive things she does. But their banter is amazing. She also has her best friend, who is a witch, and her trainer, who is a blacksmith. And they all form this little party, and they go on adventures, and they have to figure out what they can do to kind of solve the overarching problem. But there's a lot of conversation about deeper topics as well, like suicidal ideation, depression, abusive parents, that kind of stuff as well. Because I think even though that trilogy is YA, I think it's important to touch on those things. I don't like to just tell a story. I want there to be depth to it. The Daylight's Curse is a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. So it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast-esque vibes. The girl on the cover, she has an arranged marriage, and if she marries this prince, she will be able to support her family, who is very, very impoverished, starving. So she goes and she tries to meet this prince, who happens to be a dragon shifter, because he's cursed. And without any spoilers, she has to kind of navigate that. um, and then the two on the bottom, they are urban fantasy. Oh, Daylight's Curse is new adult, and so are the two urban fantasy on the bottom. The urban fantasy, the girl is a lion shifter, and the boy is a very angry fae. And they end up kind of taking turns saving each other from different things. She is an enforcer for her city, and she is supposed to kind of keep the fae in line, and she doesn't agree with the way that she's expected to do that. So she kind of sneakily helps them, and he's angry at the oppression of the shifters, and he tries to take it out on her, and then realizes, oh,
Oh,
she's not
oh,
one of those.
yeah.
Right,
It's an allegory for systemic
right,
oppression stuff like that.
right, exactly. And she ends up being one of the good ones, and she ends up fighting for them. And the third book is yet to come on that series, but the ending we have planned is, I think, a really satisfying wrap to that systemic oppression that you see between their races. And yeah, it's just a really fun series.
Oh, you're already working on the final book of that series.
Yes, I'm working on the final book of that series, and I'm also working on my own solo book as well.
Oh, so you're working on two books right now.
Yes.
When is going to be ready, the final part of the trilogy?
This one I'm not sure about. My co-author has been kind of touch and go with her own book, so that has kind of caused some delays. But the one that I'm doing solo should probably be out by the end of the year. That one's a standalone, so.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, so you already this is the only published book you have this year?
Probably. It was going to be out last year, but to be honest, everything's been so chaotic and kind of overwhelming in the world that there's definitely been some delays on it. But I am in a revision stage, and my beta readers are rabid to get their hands on it. So I'm pretty sure once the process gets really going, it'll be so quick. But
oh, you already have a beta reader team.
I have a few beta readers, and I also have two critique partners. My beta readers depend on who's available. It could be anywhere from 2 to 5. I have two consistent critique partners, though, and they are incredible. They are authors in their own rights, and they both have their different strengths. One is a lot stronger with characters, and the other is a lot stronger with world building. And between the two of them, they give so much great feedback that honestly, I could probably get away with not using beta readers, but I prefer extra eyes.
No, that's perfectly fine. Are they like paid readers?
No, a lot of the times with my critique partners, we all exchange our own work. So if one of us needs it, the other ones will read it every single time. With the beta readers, it depends on who's available, like I said. And sometimes I read for them as well. A lot of the times I'll end up reading for my beta readers as well, just to kind of keep a nice balance. But some of them have done it completely voluntarily. So that's been also a really amazing help to me.
How has been your experience with them? Like, do you make like a little questionnaire or something at the end for them to answer?
So when I started writing, I put everybody in a Google Doc with the draft, and I also had a questionnaire that I emailed afterwards. But I found that just putting all of my betas and or critique partners into Google Docs made everything a lot easier, because their comments are right in line as they're reading, and they can give me real-time reactions and stuff like that, and that can tell me, did they react properly here, so that's funny, so that's landing as it should be, or they notice a world building issue and they can point it out immediately versus having to try and remember it as a questionnaire later. So that's been the best method I've found, at least.
Interesting. That's a good one. Oh, do you have a story of how you named your books?
The trilogy, Ember means water, Tellus means earth, and Ventus means something.
Wind.
Yes. They're all Latin words for things in the books, and yeah. I'm blanking on Ventus right now.
Ventus means wind.
Yes. Daylight's Curse, is related to The Curse on the Dragon, and then Dawn Till Dusk and Fall of Night, they're kind of linked to the roles that each shifter has. She is, her enforcer duties tend to take place at night, so that kind of played into that. And then
Okay.
I don't want to spoil.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, what's like your favorite book you've written so far?
I feel like every time I finish a new book, that's my new favorite. Because I feel like I get better as a writer every time. And if I look too far back, I'm like, oh no, I have to rewrite the whole thing. But right now it'd probably be Daylight's Curse. It's a standalone, and I feel like I was fortunate to get to work with an incredible artist on it, and she did full illustrations on it. And I just think it really met what I was trying to go for with that book. So,
Oh, as you write fantasy, high fantasy in a way, are you planning like to make guidebooks like with pictures of the creatures and the characters and stuff like that?
I would love to do something like that. My editor, Jessica Sundin, she actually does stuff like that with her books, and it's incredible. For these, it was more like that kind of illustration. And then I did hire a map artist as well for this one, and he did an absolutely incredible job.
That reminds me that I probably will need to do that in black and white too to save cost.
I can give you his information if you want it, because he is an incredible map designer, and he asks you about the story that you're trying to capture, and he really puts time and effort into building a map that's going to fit into your world. And I thought he's amazing.
That actually will be helpful. I did make a map for my own series, but needs detail. It has details.
Yeah. I have not figured out how to make my own map yet. Not yet, anyways.
And AI can help you with that. Maps are too specific and nothing good will came.
No, and I prefer to hire artists anyways,
Yeah, for this in specific, I think so too.
Yep. I like working with human artists. I've worked with human artists on all of my books, and it's been such a good experience that I couldn't imagine doing it otherwise. I have so much character art.
No, I agree. So tell me, what is like your largest goal, dream right now as an author?
To be able to 100% support myself financially with my books. That would be ideal. Then I wouldn't have to worry about so much of the side stuff or the freelance contracting or whatever, and I could just focus on the books. That would be incredible.
Oh, I completely agree. That will be a blast.
Yeah.
But that will mean that you'll have to take care completely of your marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got to get better at that.
Yeah, honest, I more or less have an idea of how it works, but I don't know. I don't know how people just make content on TikTok and stuff all the time, every single day. I never was a person that was active on social media, so turning that into my life, it's not an easy shift.
No, not at all. And video content has become more popular than stagnant images, and I've always done static images because that's what Bookstagram was initially. And so now that video content is taking off, I'm completely lost. I do not have enough ideas to come up with every day.
There's this author that I see a lot on Bookstagram that is this guy that makes like comedic skits of his own books, and he adds then himself, that it's really good. And when I think, can I actually do this? The level of compromise of that guy, it's another level.
Yeah. People are so clever. I remember there was like a phase on TikTok where authors were doing like a story time, but it was about their books, and it was so realistic until the very end when they revealed that it was their book. And I thought it was the most clever thing, but I was like, I don't know how to be that convincing almost with like a story time. I couldn't keep a straight face probably.
Well, I do know some other authors that even promote their own books with comic books, very short stories with comic books.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's other level.
Yeah, there is some brilliant marketing stuff out there. Can I do it? Maybe if I tried hard enough, but I don't have like the natural talent for marketing.
Yeah, at least for now. So
At
tell
least for
me, what are your plans for the future regarding, are you planning to go to an event to promote yourself, join one of those book festivals?
So I actually did Romanticon in Orlando last year, and that was my first event. It was amazing. I highly recommend working with Fabled Fantasy Events if you get a chance, because the event was so well put together. They were so considerate of their authors. Everyone was so nice, so helpful. Everything was laid out and organized so well. Security was amazing. It was just such a great first experience. So I am hoping to get back to some of their events when I get a little bit more free time around, writing and other stuff. But yeah, I would absolutely do more events in the future. It just has to be.
Are you from Orlando?
No, I'm from New York. I actually drove all the way to Orlando.
But New York have tons of book festivals. I mean, it's like the state with the most.
Yeah, so I don't live in the city. I live closer to like Pennsylvania.
Ah.
So that does create a little bit of a of a problem, but that's not to say that there aren't some that are like, a couple hours away. It's just a matter of finding the event itself, but then also finding the time around, kiddos' school and, writing and all the other stuff. So
that's the annoying thing in United States. The good festivals are usually in every corner. Seattle, yep. San Diego, California, Miami, yep. New York, even in Texas.
Yep. Even for me, New York City is at least a 4-hour drive. So it's like,
wow, it's really far. Wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forgot that New York is more than Manhattan.
I think a lot of people do. I say New York and people automatically assume the city, so I'm kind of used to that. But
exactly. But it's actually quite bigger than that.
It is. It's really big. I would say, well, yeah, just from me near PA to the city is like 4 hours, and that's only like half the state. So yeah.
I get it. So tell me, in which platforms we can get your books?
I do sell signed copies on my Etsy shop, and that's probably the best way to get them because I include like character art and stuff, which I don't do unless it's like pre-order time. So if you want like character art and stuff, unless I do a giveaway or you get it when the book is first coming out, Etsy's the way to get it. And then otherwise you can get them on Amazon. You can get it on the Barnes & Noble website. I have wide distribution enabled, so it's out there. They're around.
Do you have any specific social media where people can follow up like your releases?
My Instagram. I am more active on Instagram than I am any other platform. I answer DMs, I answer comments, I do all of that on Instagram.
I agree. Actually, another guest told me that for marketing, at least 2 social media. More than that, it's overkill. 2.
Yeah, I use Threads a decent amount, and I kind of poke at TikTok, but Instagram is the one that I put all my time and effort into for social media-wise, at least.
Okay. Well, Tiffany, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for coming and for this lovely conversation. I really hope you can get to maybe some nice festival close to you. I think in Pennsylvania, there's going to be one in August. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we hope to see you again. Maybe when your book is out.
Oh, yeah.
So we can talk about the experience.
Yeah, the new one. I could definitely.
Excellent. Well, have a nice day and bye. Tiffany was a great guest, and we learned quite a lot from her. Tiffany emphasized that first drafts are meant to be messy. They don't need to be perfect. After all, that's why they're called first. Many writers quit early because they expect flawlessness, but that's not possible. That's why she encourages to just continue and finish the draft, and doesn't matter how messy it's going to be, because you can always revise it later. After all, you can edit a blank page. She also shared her love for indie publishing. Tiffany chose indie publishing to retain her creative control, so she could maintain diversity on her books and explore topics that some traditional publishers won't encourage. Indie doesn't mean lower quality, not at all. It just means more freedom for her. If you prefer to work on traditional publishers, that's a valid road too. Tiffany just wants us to understand that there are more options that we can take. And lastly, her last advice is community is everything. She credits her critic partners and beta readers to her success for strengthening her book and highlight all their flaws. It's due to the supportive nature of the indie community that she managed to come this far. She encourages us to surround ourselves with people that challenge and uplift our writing. Well, thanks for coming today. If you find this episode inspiring, like, subscribe, and share this video. And give Marky Boots a try in the link below. See you next week. Bye.